In his latest illegal act, Venezuelan opposition figure Juan Guaido has named a commission to allegedly recover and restructure teleSUR. Let's take a look at the people he chose to lead this latest grasp at power.
In the 1980s in El Salvador, the dictatorship of Napoleon Duarte forcibly took power. The country was in the midst of a civil war when, in the so-called Centaur operation, a number of Jesuit priests were murdered by security forces for allegedly working with a guerrilla group. Death squads killed Monsignor Oscar Arnulfo Romero, known as the Bishop of the Poor. Years later, an investigation by the United States Senate in 1991, published by Reuters journalist Dan Williams, named one of the CIA collaborators in El Salvador who helped the death squads find their targets. It was Leopoldo Castillo, the then Venezuelan ambassador in El Salvador. Since then, Castillo has been known as the priest killer.
Consistía en la identificación de las víctimas.
33 years ago, with the help of Leopoldo Castillo, they killed a number of priests in El Salvador. That is the latest appointment made by Juan Nobody.
It's Leopoldo Castillo, the human rights violator linked to the murder of priests by the U.S. government, who has been named by the self-proclaimed himself, Juan Guaido, as the new president of teleSUR. The latest strategy of his international media circus, hoping to convince his audience that he holds any sort of power in Venezuela.
Why don't you talk to one of the guards? Show at least a little moral standing, at least some leadership.
Juan Guaido
represents a powerful sector in this hybrid war. Venezuela has been attacked on all fronts with the hopes of destroying our government. Juan Guaido has given himself an important role by calling himself and his followers the only legitimate power in Venezuela. He has embodied the hybrid war. He has zero legitimacy. The whole show is just a strategy to destabilize the nation and to facilitate a foreign invasion or the implosion of our democratic system.
Another one of the feats of Leopoldo Castillo came on May 3, 2017, a year when the terrorist acts of the opposition were losing steam. In a tweet, Castillo confirmed the death of Leopoldo López, a former opposition leader who was under arrest for leading a terrorist plot that sought to overthrow President Nicolás Maduro in 2014 and killed over 40 citizens. But Castillo's lie was quickly ended, and his ethics were questioned across the board.
This is a message to my family, to prove I am alive. Today is May the 3rd. It's 9 p.m. This is a message to my wife, Lilian. I don't understand why they are asking me to prove I'm still alive right now.
Larissa Patiño was also named as a leader of the team that hopes to kidnap teleSUR. For 17 years, she was at the head of the RCTV news outlet, an opposition beacon during the administration of Hugo Chávez. She was also a leader of the First Justice Party, which has long asked for and defended economic sanctions against Venezuela. teleSUR was created by commanders Hugo Chávez Frías and Fidel Castro. For over 14 years, it has become the most important platform to tell the stories of Latin American people and their struggles. teleSUR's flag is the truth.
Sería impensable.
The creation of teleSUR will be hard to imagine in today's world. But if it wasn't for teleSUR, we wouldn't have known about the 2009 coup in Honduras. Thanks to teleSUR, we found out the truth about Syria. We have learned of the struggles of indigenous people and Afro-descendants in Latin America and the Caribbean, and not to mention the fight for women's rights.
Those behind this latest attack are wrong. teleSUR is part of our culture, is part of our people's heritage, and it will only grow larger in the face of these attacks.
Más de 34,5 millones de visitas en nuestro sitio web y redes sociales nos convierten en referencia informativa en inglés y español a nivel mundial.
Our North is the South. That's teleSUR's slogan. And just as the legitimate president of the network, Patricia Villegas, says, teleSUR is unique and unbreakable, made up of one-of-a-kind people and watched by extraordinary viewers worldwide.